Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Tigers Minor League Report podcast. I'm Rahel Castillo. Alongside me, Brandon Day and Chris Brown should be on shortly. Also, Justin from Locked On Guardians should be joining us momentarily as well. As a lot to cover this evening with the Tigers starting the 3 games. Well, hopefully it's just a 2-game series against Cleveland starting tomorrow, and the postseasons began. We also will recap Erie and Binghamton in a series that was not as close as people might have led on to believe, and essentially the minor league season is now over, and fall ball begins on, I believe, October 3rd, so it starts on Friday. We'll be continuing our coverage of that with Kevin McGonigal and the rest of the Tiger prospects that are heading out to Arizona Fall League. Apologize. Still have some throat issues, so mind the cough. The Halls. These Halls strawberry, I'm not I don't get paid for this doing this. New flavor of Halls, fantastic. But it's still unprofessional to have it on while I'm broadcasting, but nevertheless, my colleagues should be on momentarily to pick up the slack. But so the Tigers are in the postseason. Houston was eliminated, in case you were living on a rock, but that's what's going on right now. As the postseason picture is what was nothing. I don't think anybody expected to unfold the way it did. But it is a very, very interesting kind of. You look at the teams involved. First and foremost, Cincinnati. Terry Francona is just he's a magician. Just a guy who is just a very good manager, and the Mets did everything right. The Mets did everything at the trade deadline. They won the trade deadline. They spent the money, and now they're sitting at home watching everybody else in the postseason. So, and in case you're looking at what teams are in the postseason, in case, again, not sure who is in what, the brackets look like this. Milwaukee and Philly, top 2 seeds in the NL. I know Lou wasn't a rock candy. You know what? Let me just screw it. I'll muscle my way through this.
Can't talk with it in your mouth?
Oh, I can't. I sound horrible when I talk on a mic with it. So, Milwaukee and Philly, top 2 seeds. And then the Dodgers will take on the Reds, like I just mentioned, and then the Cubs and the Padres. Class of 84 there. That's a rematch of the NLCS. I did the sugar-free. Yeah, you know what? I did not get the sugar-free, and I should have. But either way, strawberry, fantastic choice there. And, of course, in the American League, it's the Blue Jays and Seattle, the top 2 seeds. New York and Boston, which will be beaten to a nauseum for everybody that's not from the Midwest. Or just for that matter, any baseball fans are just going to hear about the history of the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees. It's going to be beaten over and over again. And we're going to be flooded with highlights the whole time. It's just the way it's going to be. And, let's see where my crew is right now. Nobody's on yet. But, and then Cleveland and the Tigers, of course. But the Mets did save the Tigers from the worst meltdown. I mean, the Tigers' meltdown, I believe they were the lowest. I think they had 7 wins in September, which is the lowest since 1903. So that's kind of embarrassing, but as A.J. Hinch said, look, it's 0-0 in the postseason. It doesn't matter how they get there. I mean, you can question him resting everybody yesterday a little bit and not going for the division. But again, it is what it is, but the team was a little banged up heading in down the stretch, and so I don't know. A lot of people were even saying stuff like, I wish the Tigers didn't make the postseason. Who says that? That logic is flawed to me. Would you rather that? I mean, they finished 1 game better than last. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can look at this either optimistically or just want to be a total dick about it. If you want to be a total dick about it, that's your choice. That's fine. But they are in. They are 1 game better. Javi Baez had a big weekend. Did what he had to do. They're in, and so whatever happens from here, we'll see. But a lot of people also want to see the Tigers being swept right away. And I'm talking about people from the city. It doesn't matter anyways. They're just going to get Jeez, oh Pete, it's just nobody can be happy about anything. Meanwhile, the Lions took care of business, beating the Browns soundly, and there was some optimism with that. But Tigers and Guardians, not so much. But nevertheless, the series, all the games are at 108. So for those who are working, make sure you have your earphones on, earbuds going. But they are, look, the Tigers are playing with house money. They're going to have nothing to lose. They're on the road. Cleveland's the one that came all the way back. Maybe Cleveland's drained from all that. Who knows? I don't know. But the winner of that series will take on Seattle, and that's a very good Mariners ball club. And that is a Cal Raleigh. That's just it goes beyond that. They have a very good pitching staff. Brian Wu, a very good bullpen, and then of course in the other bracket would be the winner would take on Toronto, and so that bracket's kind of brutal. I mean, all familiar foes, and there you go. And then whoever gets there gets the NLCS. So we'll see about that. But the other bracket I'm interested in is I think the Reds and the Dodgers. Like I don't know, like I like the Reds here playing the role of upset here. I don't know why. I just do. I don't know about the magic of Terry Francona if it can extend that much, but it'll be interesting tomorrow how that will play out because I really think those two teams, the Reds are, I don't know, they're the upstart a little bit. Can they go in and beat the Dodgers? We'll see. But that would be it. Then against Philly. We'll see how that goes. But yep, Justin wants. I can do that to you. DM real quick here. But yeah, I firmly like if Philly to me. I don't know who's your favorite in the NL. That's what I want to know. Who's your favorite in the NL? I don't think the Brewers are gonna. Just you want to believe the Brewers are gonna finally get through. You want to believe that they're gonna exercise the demons, but they just seem like they never can get over the hump. So I don't know. I like Philly a lot. I like the Padres too, but if I'm gonna make a on the spot World Series prediction, I'm gonna go with the Phillies and Jays, a rematch in '93. So that's what I'm gonna go with. I'm just gonna go with Phillies and Jays, just for now on the spot, without really doing much research or anything at the moment right now. But Brandon Day, Brandon Day,
Oh, hey. Oh, hey, buddy. How's it going?
we're just talking a little bit about the we're doing. I did an on spot World Series prediction, Toronto and Philly, just
I
just
want Phillies and Mariners, but I'm probably not going to get it.
yeah,
Assuming no Tigers, of
yeah,
course.
assuming no Tigers. But before we get to the World postseason, I did want to mention how good Binghamton was last week against Erie. That was a very good
Yeah.
attest to this too. That the Mets have a very good pitching crop, and this is what scares me about the Tigers next year in 2026. Tigers are very shallow, very shallow when it comes to pitching. The Mets, on the other hand, not so much. I mean, it was just the amount of pitching that was going on in Binghamton this year was
Yeah.
impressive. And I don't really think I mean, a lot of it was, of course, wasted by the Mets, but nevertheless,
Nolan McLean is still Nolan McLean. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And the Mets still have a very good future there. And it was brutal to watch. And it showed how young the bats were for Erie. As I mean, it was just a matter, and also it was weird to see Carlos Guzman come out there and say, basically give the finger to the Seawolves, essentially going, "Hey, you had me at one point, but you
Yeah.
traded me." But Jack Wingler, that split finger was sick. That was
Yeah.
a very good split finger. He recorded 26 swings and misses. 26.
Yeah.
It was insane, Brandon.
Yeah. I mean, we know, obviously Kevin McGonigal, Josue Brasino, Max Clark aren't the most experienced of hitters, and they haven't seen much of that yet. Not everybody sees much of that in the minor leagues. And yeah, I mean, they had some trouble for sure. I thought they, for the most part, they pitched them well. I didn't think Sears was bad. Got out of whack a couple times and paid for it, but they just didn't have the horses at the end of the day in the bullpen. And yeah, I mean, their pitching staff shut them down. So yeah, I mean, maybe the Mets still have plenty to look forward to, but as we know, Erie was not even at the full strength it could have had as far as pitching goes this season. So they finally got, I won't say exposed, but they finally ran into someone who could handle, a lot of like fairly talented veteran minor league pitching. So yeah, they just kind of ran out of gas there, and it was unfortunate. It would have been cool to see them win three in a row. And I mean, it's not like those three guys didn't hit, but in the last game when it mattered most, they shut them down. So yeah, just something to learn from, hopefully, from right there. But yeah, I mean, I could see the Tigers having a really, really good crop of pitchers in another like 2 years. There was just so many guys injured this year. You just don't know who's going to come back and who isn't. Who's going to be strong, who won't, who will develop from this, and who will, kind of fade and disappear. But yeah, as a Tigers fan and mostly concerned with the Tigers, wasn't great down there. Injuries happen, but when they start to happen to that degree, and you've got like command and control guys that you drafted, like Paul Wilson and Ethan Scheffelbein, just an absolute mess down there, you do kind of wonder what's going on. It might be a matter of breaking them down before you build them back up, kind of a thing. They're both high school pitchers, but we haven't seen the building them back up part yet.
Yeah, and there could be also,
ways away.
or it could be also org philosophy too as well. And so there's some.
Right.
You and I have talked about this eternally a little bit about some of the drama that might be occurring behind the scenes a little bit there.
There does seem to be some dispute just in general in the org about how to go about certain things at this point. So I don't know. I don't know who's right. We hear complaints, but maybe they're the ones who are wrong. It's just hard to know. So hopefully they can get that sorted and back on track. In the upper minor, I mean, getting Troy Melton, to the majors looking this good was a pretty big win. I thought Sears took a big step forward this year. Jake Miller still looks pretty good. Those guys will be, available at least in Toledo next year. But yeah, there's, you're kind of going down a little ways before you really see where they're going to have anybody charging the upper minors next year. So
speaking of charging the upper minors, one guy that charged the upper minors that I saw witnessed firsthand the assault Erie pitching, Gavin Williams, who did the same thing on the Tigers. As Justin was also firsthand to see the Gavin Williams experience, all the way from Lake County through Akron through Columbus. Justin from Locked On Guardians, thank you for joining us as talking a little bit of Guardians Tigers as they start that 3-game series tomorrow. Excuse me, best of 3, I should say. And one of the things I wanted to ask you about was how shocked were you about Terry Francona and the Reds? Just because I know that I know you're all things Ohio. So I'm sure right now you're just like fist pumping and just you're stoked right now that you got the Reds in the postseason too.
Yeah, I mean, good for Tito. The Reds are a fun team. And hi guys, it's good to chat baseball with you. I know the last month of baseball for you guys has not been as fun as you'd like. It's been chaotic here.
Yeah. We earned the right for it to be that stressful. I like to put it that way.
And the next 2 or 3 days, they ain't going to be any less stressful. But
yep.
Honestly, I'm just laughing at the fact that the Reds, who don't spend money, who barely squeaked in, got in ahead of the Mets, who spent $340 million, were the most active team at the trade deadline, and couldn't happen to a better franchise than the Mets. That's what I love about it. Yeah, I'm rooting for Terry Francona. I mean, no disrespect to you guys and the Tigers fan base, but I would absolutely love a Battle of Ohio World Series. That would be the worst thing for Rob Manfred. Like, he would just be like, no, we're just, we're just going to cancel this year's World Series. Everybody loses. We'll see you in February in spring training.
The least watched World Series of all time, but the most happy Ohioans I will have ever seen in my life, probably.
We deserve something, don't we? Like, I live in Ohio. Come on. Like,
debatable.
I deserve something.
You know what though? It would be like when David Stern was the commissioner and he saw the San Antonio Spurs and the Pistons in the finals, and he was just like, "No, must have Lakers every final. Boston, New York, Boston, or Boston, LA."
Doncic is now a Laker, right?
Yeah, how that happened?
Yeah, I wonder.
Oh, I can't imagine. And somehow Cooper Flag ended up in Dallas. I can't imagine how that happened.
Oh no, but here's the thing too. If you look at the bracket with the Red Sox and the Yankees and Toronto, imagine being Toronto right now. You have
Yeah.
Literally the two biggest markets you have. Everybody's rooting for Toronto because, to me at least, Toronto represents if Toronto could beat Boston, New York, or whomever they wins out of that series, I think that bodes well as far as just getting the game internationally speaking. Because I really don't think anybody wants to see outside of the two markets I just represented, Boston, New York again in some sort of like ESPN's going to do a 30 for 34 in 2 years kind of thing.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I mean, thank God they're playing in the wild card round because at least this way it's only 3 games max, and we don't have to hear about it the rest of the year until there's like somehow a expansion. They could get these 2 teams to play like best of, or two series of best of 5 or something in 2 playoff series because that's what they would do.
Yeah.
I mean, the worst nightmare for if it's not the Battle of Ohio in the World Series, I think Rob Manfred's worst nightmare would be like Blue Jays Brewers, wouldn't it be? Like, wouldn't that be the second worst? I guess the Blue Jays probably wouldn't be as bad because they're pretty bad. So I guess anybody not named New York or Boston versus the Brewers would be.
It honestly might be Brewers Guardians might be his worst nightmare. I don't know.
Oh,
And then for the rest,
that's
and then for the
true.
rest of
That's
us, we'd be
true.
like, this is an absolute like clinic of baseball, though. It'd be an interesting series.
I'd be loving that. I would
Oh,
love for.
I would call it the term Tommy Yermansky World Series. That's what it'd be. It's just like fundamental baseball at its finest.
Yep.
But no, but here's the thing about the Guardians too. I mean, we talked about this before. The ability of Cleveland to develop pitching all the time, no matter what the situation is. It is, this year in terms of minor leagues, we've talked about this off air, Justin, that Cleveland wasn't at that same kind of production as they were in the minor leagues. However, it didn't really matter the last couple months because it seemed like, again, guys like Kevin Williams stepping up. But who else really to you, even with the 2 losses in the bullpen, or Ortiz, and then, of course, what happened in the bullpen. But what was it about the pitching, again, the development that really kind of stood out to you that made it go, that impressed you the most, really?
Well, I mean, it took all season for Tanner Bybee to kind of figure things out because, he was their ace last year. Gavin Williams was hurt, and when he came back, he was just a mess and a shell of himself. And then this year, Tanner Bybee was unlucky. He was bad. There was just all kinds of weird stuff going on this year for Tanner Bybee. And he went through, multiple mechanics changes this year, sequencing, arsenal. And honestly, he had a hard time, I think, handling it. Like, anytime something went wrong, I would say mentally, it was very tough for him to put in the back of his head and move on. And it took him till, I think, September to do that. But the reason this team was able to make the run they did is because Joey Cantillo finally turned into the pitcher that we've been waiting for since they traded for him. I mean, that Mike Clevenger trade to the Padres continues to bear fruit for them. Like Josh Naylor had a nice run here, and he's playing well in Seattle. Good for him. And it brought them Slade Ciccone, who's going to start Game 3 of the series if it gets there. But Joey Cantillo, I would say, if he wasn't the focal point of that trade, he was at least the second biggest point of that trade. And everybody felt like this was the kind of pitcher he could be. And finally, for him, it took cutting down the walks. Like, the stuff was always there. Like, he added velocity, which helped his fastball, which helped his curveball. The changeup's always been his bread and butter. But the Guardians could not just tell him to, like, hey, man, stop trying to aim your fastball. Like, just go back and throw it and see what happens. Because he's got great extension naturally because he's, just such a lanky dude. His stuff plays. Like, even though it's 92, 93, you could top out at 94, it plays much higher because A, it's got great induced vertical break, but B, it's just the extension gets it by guys. So they finally sent the AAA and said, look, just worry about throwing strikes. Don't worry about command. Like, just throw the ball in the strike zone, and wherever it goes, if they hit it, they hit it. And it finally clicked for him. So they were able to go on this run because I think Joey Cantillo blossomed into the pitcher they always thought he could be, and the six-man rotation too. I mean, they don't have as great a bullpen as they did a year ago. And in September, a lot of teams are usually playing with an extra bullpen, an extra reliever. The Guardians were actually not. They were using a 6-man rotation, and that helped them combat, innings limits and fatigue. And thankfully, they had Parker Messick, and thankfully they had Joey Cantillo, because if you don't have those guys, then you can't make a 6-man rotation work. And because all those guys came on strong at the end of the year, they were able to make a 6-man rotation work and go on the run that they did.
It also seems like you guys are just kind of built to match up with other teams pretty well. Like you've got enough lefties in the bullpen to kind of do whatever you want. And then, yeah, I mean, you've always got Gaddis and the beast at the end of the line there. So, yeah, no matter who it is, it just seems like, year in and year out, the Guardians find a way in the pitching department, at least especially.
They do. I mean, thankfully they had Cade Smith to step up when I'm not even going to acknowledge the closer's name. I've stopped doing that. He's like Lord Voldemort over here. Thankfully they had him to step up, but the bullpen's a little bit lighter than it was a year ago. You don't have, Gaddis is not as good as he was a year ago. He's still okay, but he's not as good as he was a year ago. Tim Herron was part of the Four Horsemen last year. He's been up and down from AAA this year because he can't throw strikes. Eric Sabrowski, which was a huge left-handed weapon for them a year ago. He was hurt most of the year. He came back late, and he's had some command issues, but he's been good when he's on, which is great. But yeah, the bullpen's not quite as deep. I think for the Guardians in this series, it's the reverse of a year ago. It was last year. It's like, all right, can the starter get us 4 or 5? Can we get our bullpen in? This year, they're going to want the starters to go, I think, 6 or 7, and hope to get the ball to Gaddis and Smith and piece together whoever goes in front of them.
It's weird too. That just occurred to me too that the Guardians have fleeced the Padres again, pitching wise. I mean, Corey Kluber was a Padre, came over in a throwaway deal in 2010. So look, if Cleveland's asking for a pitcher, I'm not giving it to him. That's just that simple. Like I'm not. Yep. I mean, imagine the Texas when there's like, okay, who's Emmanuel Clase? Or sorry, the guy we cannot mention.
Lord Voldemort.
Lord Voldemort. Sorry, Lord Voldemort. They asked for Lord Voldemort in a trade. It was just some guy, and look what happened. But I digress. But my point is that it just seems like whenever the Guardians and Padres get together for some sort of trade, the Guardians always come out like gangbusters. And I don't know. I think it does help it doesn't help the Tigers. And the thing about the Tigers, too, is the Tigers were trying to say that they weren't pressing. And that's total nonsense. I feel like there's just been this nonchalantness a little bit. But I don't know about you, Brandon, but I'll start with you. What's the key for the Tigers in the series? Because I think it just seems like right now Cleveland is living in their head rent-free right now. And it's just that's I don't know if it's getting back from the postseason last year. The Tigers just could not get anything going, runners in scoring position at all. And it was just the same thing. A lot of quick at-bats, a lot of quick strikeouts.
Yeah, not just against them. I mean, that's been kind of the story of the Tigers for the whole last 3 or 4 weeks is getting runners on base and then just absolutely flailing at everything. Everyone looking like they're trying to hit a 3-run homer when we need a single. That sort of thing. And I mean, we can exaggerate that. Not, it's not like the thing nowadays for everyone to have tons of experience shortening up with 2 strikes and putting the ball in play. The game isn't played that way as much as it used to be. The Tigers have a few guys that are kind of capable of that, but they're gonna have to find something along those lines against the Guardians pitching because you can outthink yourself here, and like okay, we're gonna totally change our approach against Gavin Williams. Gavin Williams isn't gonna change his approach. He's just gonna pummel you with fastballs up and just wipe out breaking balls, and you're either gonna run into one at some point or you're not with the approach the Tigers have. So. For the Tigers, yeah, I mean they've got to come up with something different offensively. We've bitched and moaned a lot about the Tigers pitching staff and the bullpen in the second half, but once it's compressed into a 3-game series, the Tigers are in good shape. They don't have to use any of their lesser arms, and they should be able to hang no problem in the pitching department. I wouldn't be surprised to see us get dominated and them put up 4 or 5 runs a game because it seems to go like that no matter what. But the pitching side isn't what scares me. It just comes down to the Tigers coming up with a better plan and approach against some of these hitters. And I don't know, my feeling is mostly that the Tigers did start pressing, but way too late. You know what I mean? Like the Tigers were still cruising along as of even like 2 weeks ago, feeling good about themselves. Everything's going great. We're going to waltz in. And then they finally did get the crap scared out of them right at the very end. And the at-bats, kind of looked like it. So they've got to refocus and recenter themselves and get their chi right and get in there with a little bit better approach and battle a little harder. Riley Green is struggling with fastballs right now. He's just been getting bullied by Guardians pitching for the most part. They're just blowing it by him, and the most he's doing is fouling off pitches and putting together some long at bats. So, yeah, somebody's got to step up. Jahmai Jones has kind of been our hero. If you guys don't use a whole lot of lefties, you neutralize the Tigers' best hitter right now. so we got problems. We definitely do, and they don't have a whole lot of time to get it right.
Well, that's why Joey Cantillo is not pitching in Game 3 because, like I said, Joey Cantillo is their third best starter, but it's Slade Ciccone in Game 3 because the Tigers hit lefties very well. I mean, I was just talking to somebody else about this, and I said back in July when Detroit came to Cleveland and swept them and was part of that 10-game losing streak, I looked at the scoreboard and I was like, who the heck is Jay Jones?
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's Jahmai Jones?
Yep.
And he's leading off for the Tigers and he's hitting well. Like, so wild. And it just didn't occur to me. I was like, the best hitters in this Tigers team are Kerry Carpenter and Riley Green, right? So I was like, naturally they're going to be better against right-handed pitching because Carpenter's a platoon guy, and I know Green doesn't do as well against lefties. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, no, they're actually better against left-handed pitching. So I think the reason they're going to Slade Ciccone in Game 3, should it get there, is, well, we'll bring your lefties out of the bullpen and force you to take Kerry Carpenter out late. I know the Tigers are better against lefties, but if I'm being honest, I'm taking my shots with Andy Ibanez and Jahmai Jones over Kerry Carpenter because I've seen what Kerry Carpenter has done to this Guardians bullpen, to the closer who will not be named, and he even had a tying home run off of Kate Smith back in Detroit a couple weeks ago. The Guardians still won the game. So I've seen what Kerry Carpenter can do, and I just would rather not have Kerry Carpenter up in the 7th inning with the game on the line. Is I know, it's maybe a deeper lineup against lefties because you also have Torkelson, and Torres is better against lefties, and you got Dylan Dingler who's a righty. So it's going to be interesting. They're definitely going to mix and match. Yeah, he hits lefties better. So the Guardians better be ready to mix and match. The starters got to go at least 6 and keep them in the game, and the bullpen's got to be ready to mix and match. It's whoever's offense shows up wins. Like I was saying this series will be dominated by the starting pitching, but whoever's offense shows up wins because the Tigers' offense hasn't been good. The Guardians' offense is just flat out not good. So,
but they've got some devil magic against us so far. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I agree with that assessment. Like we have Riley Green struggling. Gleyber Torres has struggled. Most of these guys have been kind of in a funk. Spencer Torkelson's been okay. Carpenter's still been fine, and definitely is still dangerous and not the guy you want up in the late innings. But yeah, losing Colt Keith too. Colt Keith was going good against right-handed pitching. He's out. Probably won't be back until the DS if we happen to make it. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good assessment of how this thing is going to roll. Somebody's going to have to step up against your starters, and we haven't really shown much ability to do that.
Yeah, and what I feel is going to happen is Steve Kwan's going to find that piece of grass between Baez and Green in left field where he's just going to poke it like perfectly. And
if Stephen Kwan robbed a home run in left field in Progressive, it wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, it's going to be a series where it's just going to be every little thing. It's going to be the defense has to play tight. One more question before I know you got to get your show going here in a little bit there. But as far as next year's goes, in terms of pitching, I know we both analyzed prospects. Akron this year wasn't the same Akron. I know that we've talked a little bit about what was going on down there. Same thing with Columbus. Seemed, and even Lake County was still a pain in the ass no matter what. They made it to. I believe they made it to the post. Yeah, they made it to the postseason. They did somehow. But what does the future look like for Cleveland as far as like just from a position? We'll start with positional and pitching standpoint. Is the farm system going to be able to kind of? I think Cleveland's still set for the rotation next year, but is there any up and coming arms? I mean, I know Tugboat had a really tough series against West Michigan, but is there anybody else out there that Tiger fans should look out for? Since we play each other so much, apparently.
The pitching for the Guardians, it'll be the same next year. I mean, position player wise, they're actually in better shape than they have been. If you look at the top of the crop in the system, it's position player dominated. It's Ralphie Velasquez, it's Chase DeLauder when he decides to be healthy, which is about as often as I run a marathon. And and then you got Angel Hanau, had up and down year this year going to AA as a 20-year-old. Cooper Ingle is on the verge next year. Maybe gives the Guardians a hitting catcher if Bo Naylor can't figure it out. So on the position player side, they got CJ Kifis up this year, which is good.
Yeah.
Juan Brito would have been up this year at some point. If he was healthy, he would have been playing second base. I didn't even mention Travis Bazzana, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Travis Bazzana, Chase DeLauder, Juan Brito were all expected to be guys that were going to impact the club this year, and they didn't. George Valera's finally up, and he's having a nice September, so good for him. So position player-wise, for the first time, they actually do have some players that can do things. And then pitching-wise, it's going to be a lot of the same guys next year. It's going to be Gavin. It's going to be Tanner, Cantillo. You have Slade Ciccone. You'll have Parker Messick. Logan Allen's still around. We'll see what happens next year. And then, you've got Cal Steven, who they got for Shane Bieber, who everyone's really excited about. Yeah. They'll be a lot of fun. Austin Peterson could be an up-and-down guy next year for them. Hopefully Ben Lively comes back okay next year. I don't think we'll ever see Luis Ortiz again, but you never know. So they should have some starting pitching help coming along next year. And I don't think he'll be a starter, but Daniel Spino finally threw a game in September for the first time in 3 years. So he's going to go pitch in the Arizona Fall League. And
oh my God, I forgot about Daniel Espino. Yeah.
Maybe he's the closer at some point next year, or the setup guy to get Smith. Who knows? Also, I don't want to point this out, by the way, because I don't know if you guys are aware of this. Chase DeLauder is actually in Cleveland. He is on the taxi squad, and there is some kind of, I don't think it's going to happen, but there is some consideration that he may be on the playoff roster.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Wild. Yeah.
It does feel like one of these two teams is going to try to be the one to come up with some kind of little wrinkle that throws the other team off, and that would be a fun one.
Absolutely.
Probably not going to happen, but it'd be neat to see him. I've seen enough of them in the minors.
Yeah. I just think it's crazy these two teams are playing each other again in the playoffs. Last year, the battles they had this year, and what I love today, I was listening to the press conference with Stephen Vogt and talking about how have you guys played each other so tightly the last 2 years, so closely, so often, and there's no bad blood. You guys don't seem to have any kind of not a rivalry in the sense of you can tell there's animosity. It's a rivalry in the sense of you know each other very well. You're both going to play hard baseball, and you both respect each other. And he said, these two franchises, these two teams, they respect each other. That starts at the top. It starts with AJ Hinch, and it starts with Stephen Vogt. And you can't represent it any better than Stephen Vogt driving Tarek Skubal to the hospital to go see David Fry. They got in the car together to go see David Fry, and they both realized that was bigger than the games. And
I think Skubal loves Cleveland. That's his favorite thing is to be pitching against you guys in a big game. Absolutely. He gets up for it, but he loves it at the same time.
As long as he's not auditioning for Detroit Lions long snapper, he's pretty good.
Yeah. Or plunking one of your lefty mashers in the face while he tries to bunt. Yes.
Yeah. I think the Guardians honestly should have a front row seat for David Fry tomorrow behind home plate. They've got home plate seats all set up. He should be sitting behind home plate tomorrow.
That would be a cool thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if Terry Skubal would like it so much.
Just staring at Skubal. No.
Right. His one side of his face is all yellow.
All the bandages off. Yeah. This is
almost look like Two-Face almost. What were you gonna say, Chris?
Yeah, we were.
Sorry, Justin. Sorry.
No, we were joking. He waved the division title flag on Sunday with the team. And everyone's like, David Fry's got to be high as a kite on drugs, and probably had no idea where he is. It's like, is this 2024? Where's Matt Boyd? Where's Alex
Cobb?
Alex Cobb? Hey, you guys paid Alex Cobb $15 million. Did you know that?
Yeah. Somebody told me that earlier. Yeah.
Brutal. We joke with that in Locked On Guardians. We're always like, oh, hey, Alex Cobb.
I do like the idea of David Fry just staggering around out there, thinking the fans are going to start throwing beads down at him, and taking his shirt off and running around.
There has to be some sort of insurance liability thing when it comes to paying Cobb. There has to be. He didn't pitch at all.
Yeah, teams usually have insurance on players if they don't play. I don't think you get the full contract back or whatever, but there's something you pay for to if contracts don't work. I know sometimes maybe it's not for injury related issues. Maybe it's something. Got insurance for off the field stuff, but
there's some insurance adjuster that gets to examine, Alex Cobb's hips prior to the season. That's what I'm.
Yeah, I
That
mean,
brings to mind. I don't know, guys. I don't know if this is a good idea. And Scott Harris is like, no, trust him. He's a dog. He's my dog.
Scott Harris should have called somebody in
Yeah.
Cleveland. And we would have been like, look, let's save you some time. Don't
Could
pay
have called
Alex
us.
Smith.
Yeah, could have called us too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
don't do this. Don't
No,
do
it's
this.
such
What
a
are you
bad
doing?
idea. No, but yeah, that's where it's like. I mean, as much as it does feel like it is a rivalry. It's sort of like a rivalry, but it doesn't feel like there's no bad blood. It's not like like, for example, I think it would be different if it was the Twins. I don't like the Twins. So I'm saying like I don't even like.
I don't know. The
on the
Tigers are
podcast-
such a bunch of wholesome, nice
Yeah.
boys. Like I just don't think they're gonna. I just don't think you're gonna get a lot of Donnie Brooks and throwing at people or anything.
Well, and it's not even that, but like I think it's because for me, we don't talk to a lot of Twins podcasts. They don't like talking to us, apparently, and that's maybe what it is. Screw the Twins, man. So it's like, fine, okay, you guys are too cool to be. You guys are laying 1,000 lakes. Well, screw you. I don't
Well,
need
we're
your 1,000
chill.
lakes.
Cleveland is chill. KC
Yeah.
is chill,
There's-
and then the White Sox are like I don't
Yeah,
know.
here's the White Sox. Hey, we had really good pitching. Guess what? We're gonna fire Ethan Katz because
Yeah.
we're a bunch of morons.
They are.
That
they,
was wild.
yeah.
What
The
Wait.
one guy that they should probably keep.
wait. When did that happen? I missed
Today.
that.
Like an
Today.
hour and a half.
2
ago.
hours
They
ago.
fired
yeah.
Ethan.
They fired Ethan Katz and Marcus Sims.
Someone,
All right. Huh?
someone's gonna be like he should go to the Angels. The Angels need pitching coaches. I don't
Yeah.
know much about Barry Enright. Like I know he was a soft tosser for the Diamondbacks, but like if I was
Yeah.
the Angels, I'd be hiring Ethan Katz
Immediately
in a
Yeah,
second.
okay, cool.
All I gotta say about the White Sox is this: stop taking Cleveland legends. Give us Grady Sizemore back.
Yeah.
Give us Jim Thome back. Stop
Just
it.
feels wrong.
Was-
though. Yeah. Does
You know,
feel
they're,
wrong.
they're just doing that to screw with you, Justin. You know that, right? They're
They
like,
really are. Like they
Gonna
want
get Jose Ramirez for 30 games in 8 years.
Yeah.
Right. They want to hurt like 10-year-old Justin. And they want to hurt 15-year-old Justin. Jim Thome and Grady
They're the worst.
Sizemore are my favorite players, and they're just like, you know what? We're gonna stick it to that dude from Ohio from his childhood and take 2 of his best players. I understand Jim Thome. He lives in Illinois, whatever. But like Grady Sizemore, come on, guys. Like let's bring the guy home.
But he's the
okay?
only
Let's
guy.
not
He was
do
the only
this.
guy that came back out of the firings too. It's just like it makes no sense. Ethan Katz
I know.
literally single-handedly shaped that pitching staff. And
I have an unbroken 14-year track record of just laughing at any attempt by the White Sox to really get it together because they just always shoot themselves in the foot going all the way back to the Sale days. They just there's something just deeply wrong in that.
Chicago sucks.
And where does that start?
Yeah,
It
Jerry.
starts with Jerry Reinsdorf. I can tell you,
goddamn
as I'm not a Browns fan, but I can tell you, living in Cleveland, the reason the Browns cannot get out of their own way is because of Jimmy Haslam.
Mhm.
The Browns will continue to be stupid until Jimmy Haslam is no longer the owner. Probably going to be the same thing for the White Sox with Jerry Reinsdorf.
Justin, is Jose Ramirez going to take over from Stephen Vogt someday and just haunt our nightmares for another 20 years as the Guardians manager?
You know, we were joking about that the other
I'm
day. I was
scared,
like,
man.
Is Jose going to coach one day? I don't know. No, it's Austin Hedges. Whenever Stephen Vogt, well, it might take a while, but whenever Stephen Vogt is not the manager here, it'll be Austin Hedges.
I want Kevin Rosenthal not to cut off Jose Ramirez when he's talking. Douchebag.
Well, to be fair, Jose has been doing some interviews in English this year, which is awesome.
Yeah,
I'm stunned that he's doing it. I don't know who finally helped him get to this point where he could do it. He did a much better one with Guardians dugout reporter Andre Knott, because he was much more comfortable with Andre because he's known him for over a decade now. But he didn't have much to say to Ken, so I can't really blame
Maybe,
Ken.
well, it's
Jose-
maybe because maybe he realizes Ken sucks. So I don't know.
I mean, Ken does kind of
Well,
suck.
maybe he saw what happened with the photographer. He's like,
Yeah.
well, I'm not going to let him push me over now.
Can you imagine him trying to bully Jose Ramirez? There's no one in baseball that scares me more than Jose Ramirez.
Yeah.
No one I
Tim
respect
Anderson
more.
found out the hard
Jose,
way.
if you're listening, I respect and love you and fear you.
Yeah.
I want you to know.
I mean, hey, Tim Anderson found out the hard way. This is some fan art that I got
Career
sent
ending.
from one
Yeah,
of
he
our
was,
listeners.
he ended his career.
He really did.
He space jammed him. He hit him, and all the talent went out of Tim Anderson's body.
Yep. Tiny little birds flew it away to Saturn.
Yeah, like all right, well, you're done.
Oh man!
All right, gentlemen, I got to run. I got to do my third podcast of the night. But
Oh wow!
You
always
Justin,
love
you're a
talking-
beast. Thank you so
ball
much,
with
man.
you guys. And, if you guys win, I'll be rooting for the Tigers. And that'll be the only Michigan team I can root for. I'm sorry.
Hey, you know what, man? Come November,
Yep.
I got to start a college football podcast just for that, man.
My heart is still with Rajay Davis for Araldus back
Oh, yeah. Oh, man.
All right,
All
Justin,
right,
good
guys.
to catch you,
I'm
man.
sure we'll be chatting soon. All right,
All
take
right,
it
see ya,
easy.
man.
Appreciate it.
Good night.
All right, Justin Latta, great man. It was funny. I was walking up to Akron, and he was literally walking up the street at the same time. Great dude. I love talking baseball with him. I don't talk him too much about Michigan and Ohio State because it's just too easy. But
don't go there right now.
Yeah, he's one of the few Ohio State people that him and I have mutual respect for each other. That's all it is to it.
Yeah. Sorry, I missed the whole thing.
Like the Tigers and the Guardians. That's all right. Raj keeps changing up the start times on us.
Hey, for the record, I did put 8:30.
You did.
Yeah, no, I
saw it. Yeah.
I knew it was 8:30, but I was helping my son with homework, and
Hey, that's
I had
number
to get
one.
that done. Yeah.
Number one. What subject was it?
Oh, he's just doing a book report.
Oh,
I
nice.
was helping him, figure out. He's reading these dragon books. Dragons.
Is it the new thing now with
Aragon? Is it Aragon?
Yeah.
No, what is it? Wings of something.
Burn or something?
Wings of Glory.
I can't remember.
No,
you could tell that it. Wings of Fire. Wings of Fire. That makes sense. Yes. They're
As
like
opposed to a Reign of Fire, which everyone should go see. The absolute most apocalyptic punk rock dragon movie you could ever imagine with Matthew McConaughey and God.
That came out in the mid 2000s.
Christian Bale is in that.
That's right. I do remember that. I saw that was one of the last movies I saw at this Dallas.
People, if you have not seen Reign of Fire, you should. It's a good time.
I saw it at the Dallas show. Yeah, it was a really good movie. Yeah,
it was actually shockingly good.
Yeah, I went in it with no expectations and I came away impressed.
Yeah.
No, Chris, we were just talking about what I wanted you to kind of break down what we saw down in Erie with the Mets pitching staff. We were just talking about the Binghamton just being too good for Erie and just how young hitters struggled against the guy who had one of the best split finger fastballs we've seen all season.
Yeah, I'm actually in the midst of kind of writing a story about that a little bit right now because it's looking. There's some other organizations out there that seem to be doing a lot better with their pitchers than the Tigers are right now, which is kind of odd, and maybe it's just a cyclical thing, right? Because at this time last year, the Tigers had brought up all these young pitchers and they were all contributing for the most part, and it was they got no weaknesses here. And now they're kind of a hitter-heavy organization. You look down in the minors, and there's 4 starter-type pitchers who might reach the majors one day. Now, who knows? Maybe they crushed this last draft, and 3 of those dudes will be top 100 prospects by the time we're doing this next year. But that Mets dude, he was pitching Kelvis Salcedo. The best we saw from him was mid 90s, good breaking ball and a nasty changeup. This dude was like that, but throwing nothing but strikes, throwing harder, and he's the Mets' 6th best pitching prospect.
Mm-hmm. How old is he though?
23?
Yeah. Well, there you go. Yeah. Salcedo's only 19.
Yeah. No, I don't mean to denigrate Salcedo at all. All I mean is Salcedo seems right now he probably has the highest upside of any pitcher in the system. Maybe Malachi Witherspoon if if he comes out and he's throwing strikes and all that stuff. Yeah. But the whole point is there's nobody right now you're going that guy's a future number 3.
Yeah.
A lock. And the Mets brought up 3 of their top pitching prospects, and they still had this dude down in AA with 3 above average pitches, above average to plus. Mm-hmm. And you could argue that's a 70 grade split, the way it was working on that game. So, yeah, that was it was just too much for the Tigers have 3 of the top 30 hitting prospects in all of baseball, and they couldn't touch him. They could not touch this dude.
Yep.
So. Yeah, Wings of Fire books. Matt Wood.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I was just wondering if there's a new trending teenage series there with that. There's
Well, yeah, I mean, there are 20 different novels in this series, and there's a TV show coming and so forth. So
okay. I was gonna say there's always
there always are. I mean, I work in a library, but I'm not down there talking to people. I'm dealing with contracts and paying bills and doing all that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, there's a constant stream of dragon and fantasy that is still super popular right now.
Yeah, young adult novels, right? That's like kind of been
Yeah.
one thing that's never gone away. Really, it's there's always
There's sort
been
of the
a market for
fantasy,
that.
and then there's like more and more like the anime side. It's
Yeah.
just kicked in over the
Yeah.
last decade or two. So yeah. But there's always something new coming.
The Wayside. There was a
That's the only
Wayside.
place to make money as a writer. You know,
Yeah, I was
as
just
a
saying
writer of
Wayside. The
novels.
Wayside books guy ended up making. He wrote the movie Holes.
Oh, yeah.
It was Shea LaBeouf. He wrote that. He was screen director for that. But then I think about Goosebumps being how big it was, and then Goosebumps.
Yeah,
But,
all those. And with there's stuff like that for even for younger kids, like The Last Kids on Earth is like this kind of graphic novel thing, which is a fun idea. It's just like a zombie apocalypse, but it's like a bunch of middle schoolers have survived, and they treat it like they're playing video games, like they get achievements for killing certain zombies and so forth.
Yeah. A little bit of a different take on the Lord of the Flies.
Yeah,
you've reached the Scholastic Book Hour here on Tigers Minor League Report.
Yeah, I can feel the fan base like moving away.
Yeah, let's. I was a Hardy Boys. I read a lot of Hardy Boys too, man. I was a big Hardy Boys guy. I read
all those too.
Yeah, I read a lot of those. Another. I was trying to think of another one. The Hardy
Encyclopedia
Boys.
Brown.
Oh, Encyclopedia Brown. That was a good call. But the Wayside books, those were my favorite, and I actually read those recently again on a trip. So, all right. I do want to go into, before we go back to Tigers in Cleveland, I do want to talk about the Tiger Minor League Report Awards, which will be next Monday. We'll be doing our, everybody's voted, so the votes are in. I just got to do all the graphic stuff this week. And I wanted to bring up the awards because the minor league awards are going out tonight, and Kevin McGonigal already won the Tigers Minor League Player of the Year award on our Discord. So they're like, that was an easy vote. Yeah, easy vote. And then as far as Baseball America goes, he was voted. But I wanted to put together to show what we have right now for the Tiger Minor League Report Awards. And we might do one for Twitter. I'm not sure yet. I just haven't had a chance. But the Best Infielder Award, we have John Peck, Kevin McGonigal, Isaac Pacheco, Hayui, Max Anderson, Eduardo Valencia because he played first, Peyton Graham, Best Outfielder, Max Clark, Garrett Pennington, Akil Baddoo, because I know we have to mention him, and that's fine because he had a really good season defensively. Trey Cruz, Chris Rodriguez, Steph Stevenson, Jackson Strong. Best hitter, McGonigal, Clark, Graham, Valencia, Brasenio, Anderson, and Pennington. Starting pitcher of the year, which was it looks really not what we expected. I'll be honest. Sears, Salcedo, Melton, Minton, Elsart, Miller, and Kansora. Relief pitcher of the year, Drew Summers, Matt Sillinger, RJ Pettit, Moises. This one I think is going to be wide open. I don't know who's going to win this one. Moises Rodriguez, Andrew Magno, Carlos Lecuera? Lecuera. Marco Jimenez. Breakout player of the year, Edward Valencia, Trey Cruz, John Peck, Anderson Strong, Rucker, and see here the rest of them here. The manager of the year, I think, is also going to be a very tough call here because every single manager can make a case because every single manager finished over 500. So, Brandon, I'm going to put you on the spot. I should give you a vote too, actually. But
I'm just looking at this all for the first time. But all right,
yeah, no, off the top. Okay, so I'll just give you. Okay, I'll give the easiest one.
Okay.
Manager of the year. Who would you put as the manager of the year?
I got to go Tony for sure.
Okay.
I mean, to lose those guys, after the first half, and really not have the pitching, and then like Micah Ashman gets traded, who was moving up, but at the same time, like all those guys moved up, and it didn't really look like Lakeland was going to have that much to offer for them, and they didn't freaking miss a beat. They got Isaac Pacheco like swinging the bat a lot better. Peyton Graham finally showed some signs of life. They kind of just kept piecing it together. I thought overall it was a pretty impressive performance. Like Andrew Graham didn't have a lot to work with pitching wise, and I could see giving him the nod for that reason alone, that he did get them that far, despite really not having like a single legit starting pitching prospect until like Sears kind of looked more like that down the stretch maybe. But I don't know. I got to go with Tony. That Whitecaps, I mean, that's like the craziest freaking minor league season a team has put up in my lifetime, basically. So
Yeah, I agree with you on that. What about you, Chris?
plus he looks
Yeah,
like he had a Harley and would beat up your enemies, which is nice.
yeah, I picked Capicelli too for basically all the reasons that Brandon laid out. Like, I mean, it was a record setting, incredible, remarkable season overall, and they just played well no matter who was on the team. As you said, like they lost three of the top 30 hitting prospects in baseball, and John Peck, and Andrew Sears,
Yeah, that's true.
and a handful of other players too over the course of the season, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter. They always found somebody else to step up and or found ways to win. It was really impressive.
Yeah.
And again, like there's no wrong answer here because all
Yeah.
all four of these guys did a remarkable job this year. We talked
Mhm.
before. Rene Rivera won a title, having lost basically the two best players that they were going to have. They lost Montilla, and much earlier than that, they lost Rayner. They lost
Yeah.
some pitching too. And we talked a bunch about Alvarez. AAA manager is a really hard job, and they turned it around after a really slow start. Like I don't think if we've looked at that in a while, but remember they started it was like 7-19 or something like
It
that.
was bad, yeah. Because even at like mid-season, they were kind of buried, yeah. And then what they won? I don't even remember the record in the second half, but it was definitely over a 600% winning percentage, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah, they finished 84 and 66, something like that.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, you're right. There's no wrong answer. I mean, I think the Cap deserves it all the way because all the changes of personnel. I think of all the managers, he had the most changes. I mean, in terms of lineup change wise too, just went from having the big three and then Pack coming out to then essentially it took a while before even Pacheco figured it out and became this consistent power. And so,
and after the big boys left, like it was
Yeah.
still like Seth Stevenson like powering things a lot, like getting on base,
Mhm.
and then you had like Graham and Murr and guys like that knocking him in, and then he was gone too. Like it didn't matter.
Yep.
They lost everybody who was a big factor early in the first 2/3 of the season.
yeah, and that rotation too was not as deep as people thought it was. I mean, they put Preston Howery out there, really, and Chris and I were talking about debating whether it was just really out of necessity because it was just he was not a guy. I still think he's better off in the bullpen, but because they didn't really have any other choice. Rainer Castillo also did not take that step forward like we thought he was going to. He pitched better down the stretch a little bit, but it wasn't. We expected. I expect a lot more out of Rainer Castillo this year than
I kind of thought he would have kind of a big year. Same deal with Gabriel Reyes too.
Yeah.
Never even got didn't even get there. Never even got back there. I thought he would be a big factor for them at least later on. But so yeah, he did not have that much to work with. And if you judge the Tigers farm system by what the Whitecaps look like on prospect lists, in the second half, it wouldn't look very good.
Mhm.
And they didn't miss a beat somehow. So pretty impressive.
So everybody who's in the chat, who is your manager of the year? If everybody's watching us right now this evening and at home, if you just want to get a comment in, just shoot us an email. And speaking of emails, by the way, so we did get a question.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I like that segue there. It was a very again. This is from Ray, and let me see if I can find the question here. He wanted us to address the alcohol-fueled celebration the team engaged on clinching the wild card berth on Saturday. On a number of levels, the shenanigans smacked to hollowness and desperation. When making the playoffs, the team should celebrate and have fun with each other, but the way the collection of players and coaches implied across the finish line would make me think that games festivities should have included a team dinner. On the FanDuel broadcast, Danielle repeatedly asked the players which teammate they thought would drink the most, a question that to me drove the heart of what really ailing this team, a lack of passion for fighting for reaching a goal. From the beginning of spring training, AJ repeatedly said the goal was to win the AL Central, a goal that still was in their grasp during the game yesterday. Time and time again, Hinch failed to pinch hit with men on base, which leads me to believe that winning the division was not truly the gospel. The drinking on Saturday night and the game strategy on Sunday was a sign that the team had quit before they crossed the finish line, something that really does not capture the ethos of Detroit and those people who work so hard each and every day to meet their goals. Moreover, the empathy might leave them very well cost chance to host Cleveland in front of their own fan base. So, and he went on to compare this to he goes, who are the Tiger fans who can match the Detroit Lions because he knows we're Lions fans? Golf, Penny, Amon Siran.
Yeah, I
Arizona.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I mean, I can't imagine a scenario where Dan Campbell doesn't let his players drink after a game because it's just, or after clinching, because it's just a different sport. Like you're not going to play for a week. So I don't know what that has to do with it necessarily, but I mean, I was disappointed. I wasn't disappointed that they started Chris Paddock. It didn't make any sense to use one of their best three starters. I think the lesson underneath all of that is that the Tigers are pretty banged up. Maybe more than we think they are. Because AJ really made a point about like, no, these guys need a day or two off. They need days off entirely. And we know Javi's been hurting most of the second half. I suspect that something is not right with Riley Green. I wrote a whole big old piece you can go find on Bless You Boys where I just kind of like looked at like all the possibilities. Like he's not hitting fastballs. He's swinging under everything. His timing is bad, but his bat speed is unchanged. His swing tilt is unchanged. His attack angle is unchanged. Like swing is the same, basically as it's been all the same all year, but his chase rate is through the roof and his contact rate is down. So I mean, that could just be being tired. I mean, if you're one of those out there who's like convinced that Riley's, like overly dropping his back shoulder and, collapsing his posture, which, it isn't like a terrible theory. I mean, there's probably at least some truth to that, but that could be fatigue as well. If you're just like, plumb wore out, your core strength will go a little bit, and that might lead to some of that as well. But, I thought they should have pinch hitted, but I don't know what the situation the players are in. Like using Paddock was totally understandable. Obviously, the Guardians won anyway, although it was afterward when they knew it didn't matter anymore and they didn't have to win. I mean, you could argue it either way. I'm going to have a lot to say after the season is over about like whatever the heck went on between Scott Harris and AJ Hinch over the final like 3 or 4 months of the season, because there was just a lot of like decision making that flew in the face of like everything both of them have said, to my mind. So I don't know. I'm going to have a lot of questions. They just did not seem to be on the same page. Scott Harris made a lot of bad decisions. Scott Harris let a lot of pitchers who were, that the Tigers had kind of fixed up and worked out go, and then traded them in for veterans who, were cooked. And, I mean, we could go on and on, but overall it just didn't feel right. And the fact that they couldn't even like agree on like giving someone a lengthy tryout when they were still up by a ton, they were literally just throwing shit at the wall, is exactly what it looked like. There was no like conviction about any of the guys that they brought up where they were going to like stick with them and work with them. They got away from the idea of developing the young players and kind of had like Cater Monteros just stashed, while, no one else was doing any better. I don't know. There's a lot of issues. There's a lot of issues that went on in the second half, and a lot of things I think the Tigers need to get right, both there and, as we've already kind of mentioned, like whatever is going on with the injuries in pitching development, that just kind of decimated, pretty much, half the prospect list in terms of pitchers this year or more. So there's going to be a lot of things to criticize, but I think worrying too much about that last game, putting too much emphasis on it, is probably a mistake. If AJ Hinch, thought the division was crucial and the rest wasn't as crucial, he would have gone for it more. I mean, I'm completely convinced of that. If you want me to be a smartass, obviously Chris Ilitch doesn't care about money. He didn't insist that they play the starters, to try to get three home games in the postseason. But that's just a smartass thing to say. There's a lot going on that we aren't going to know. I thought they should have tried and pinch hit it. Pinch hit for McKinstry, pinch hit for Rogers late, and they didn't. And I don't know why. So.
Yeah, I'm never going to tell, and this is Ray, not Stan. I got to always remember that. For some reason in my head, I confuse Ray and Stan. But I'm never going to tell fans like how to be fans, right? Like how to react to something. Yeah. But I can never get mad at players for celebrating clinching a playoff spot, even if it was literally the worst clinching of all time. Like they collapsed in a way that nobody's ever seen, but they still made it. And the baseball season is just so incredibly long. You're 162 games plus the entirety of spring training, plus whatever offseason workouts you do. And it's ups and downs. And I think Brandon made a great point that these guys are probably way more injured than we realize. I mean, everybody in professional sports is hurt all the time. It's just a matter of how hurt. And so getting these guys a day off and maybe getting their minds right, letting them sleep off a hangover maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
Just something. And there's also an element of like celebrating together
Yeah.
could maybe make you guys like it had to be a huge weight off their shoulders. They're not dumb,
Yeah.
despite what they would say to the media, like, just got to go out there and win. Like, they know exactly what's going on. They know they're collapsing. They're not coming through. And so to finally clinch that, it's a huge weight off the shoulder, and you got to blow off some steam, let them get absolutely loaded. I don't think anybody's too upset with that. I tend to agree with Brandon though too, that it really felt strange to have them. We're so conditioned to AJ Hinch playing the chess pieces. Like,
Yeah.
oh, here's a great situation for a pinch hitter. We've seen it so many times. And then when they don't do it, you're like, they're clearly not trying to put the team in the best position to win. And, I agree. Like, we didn't expect Skubal to start or anything crazy like that. I didn't mind that they used Paddock and Sewald and Rainey. Like, and those guys actually went out and pitched fairly well.
Mhm.
It just felt like, oh man, you bring in one pinch hitter here, it's not going to kill him. Now, it did seem like it was Rogers a bunch, where it was like, oh, and Dingler is one of their better hitters in the second half. But like, if there's one guy you definitely want to give rest to, it's Dingler, because if you go into the postseason, he's catching every single game.
Yeah.
That's how it works. So I don't know. It was kind of a no-win situation. And yes, maybe they just knew. They saw Cleveland win on a walk-off hit by pitch the night before. And they knew, oh, they're going to go down by 3 runs, and they're going to score 4 runs anyway because Brian Rocchio was going to hit a 3-run walk-off homer.
Right.
So they didn't care.
I mean, yeah, I think it felt weird based on everything they've said. Like the things AJ Hinch said after that, I couldn't help contrasting with like the, if you don't want to come here, fine, we'll beat you. Come,
Mm-hmm.
all that bravado, was kind of out the window, and it definitely sounded a lot more like relief. And I don't know, I just always worry about like if it's like a 30-year-old, baseball player who's like fairly thoughtful and has been around a while. I hold him to account for what he says a lot more than I do a bunch of like, 24, 25-year-olds who just won their way into the postseason, no matter how kind of pathetic the fashion was, who are like, I'm going to outdrink this guy. And no one knows what they actually did. I mean, they clinched at what, like 6:30. I mean, they might've been in bed at 1 for all we know. I don't know. I hope they got rested. That's all I can.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
Yeah.
And I would have loved to have seen this at Comerica Park.
Yeah.
It would have been nice, and for the Tigers fans to get to see that and to get to have a couple home games. But they didn't really earn that, and it almost feels fitting to me that nope, still got to go beat the final boss in Progressive Field. Or you don't deserve anything. You gave away all the cred that you had earned in the first half. And so now here you got to slay the beast again.
I look at it this way. I think that just based off seeing like just getting the vibe down there in the locker room that these guys are just exhausted, flat out exhausted, and a little bit beat up. We look at Cole Keith with he's not going to be playing the postseason right now. He has to like fun times back. I'm going to play that drop before we get out of here. I will be playing that for sure. I just think that Hinch is going to play things close to the vest because I think personally they didn't have enough of the horses that they had last year. And I think that the throwing, essentially what they did with getting Montero, getting Morton, and seeing, oh, by the way, it was nice to see Morton and his crew with the Braves. That was classy, and it was just a good thing to see. Yeah. But it's just a lot of things did not work. And I think, Trey Melton did help save them a little bit, but this team played above its weight all year long. I really think people thought this was a 100-win team. It wasn't. To me, it was just what it was now. It's just the way they petered out was the way they petered out. And so
it did kind of all add up to like what we thought they were going to be.
Yeah.
It was a weird ride to get there, but I had them at 85 wins to start the season, and I was pissed about them not getting Bregman because I thought that was the difference between maybe being a 90-win team and winning division. And I'm not trying to blow my horn. Like, you could have done a lot of different things. It kind of ended up working out that way.
Yeah, they still need another right-handed hitter, power, another outfielder. I really thought that would probably help the difference too.
And more of a veteran, someone who's been there and is more consistent and kind of knows how to, set people right.
Oh yeah, and that was the thing that was definitely missing from this lineup, and it still is. But I think ultimately, Harris. I'm gonna get shit for this. I know I'm gonna get shit for this, and that's fine. If Harris is like, we don't have enough horses to get there because based off what we had, I mean, if he's going to sit there and say that, stick with it. believe him just because look at the farm system. The last couple, like just and also this stupid. This is the thing that's really been annoying me lately. Is this a Tigers podcast? Yeah, it's of course a Tigers podcast. Anyways, Aaron. So my whole thing is that it's simply this: if looking at the farm system as much as we do, it is not. If they traded the likes of Briseño to the Pirates for a reliever or a guy who isn't really going to come back and just going to like they don't really have that kind of capital depth to do that. I don't know what they're going to be. That's the thing. Like, if they were traded Clark, if they traded McGonigal, who would have been stepped in after that? There's nobody. Like I'm saying, like right now, the system is not. Look, all the wardens aside, I get it, but I still think that the system is still a year or two away from being a regular contribution in terms of getting guys in and out. There's 14 guys on the squad that are West Michigan 2 or 3 years ago. That's saying something. However, your development, like I said, your pitching is terrible right now. You have a lot of concerns going into the offseason. How are you going to address this big time? And if Harris is like looking and going, well, shoot, none of this is going to fix it. You know what? Fine. You can call me a Harris Cluck, whatever you want to call it. But, Tyler, look, yeah, we could have decimated our farm system for years to come to maybe make a difference in the playoffs. But look at the Mets. I mean, look at the Mets.
They didn't have to decimate. They didn't have to decimate their farm system, though.
No.
I think they just had to make better decisions throughout the year with who they kept and who they developed in certain ways.
Better decisions on development. That
right. And better decisions in terms of like Morton Paddock, like the Paddock, Chris Paddock has been like a decent fifth starter for a long time, and that's fine. Like it wasn't the worst move, but to do it right when they did, just felt like they panicked. And we could get into all this, of course, and drag it all out again. But, they gave up the best prospect that they gave up at the deadline, in my view, for Chris Paddock, not for Kyle Finnegan. So I don't know what they were doing there. There was just a lot of bad decision making. But I would agree that they weren't. What teams want at the deadline is generally pitching. And,
they didn't have any.
The Tigers just didn't have that much that was ready. I think I disagree quite a bit as far as what it's going to look like in another year. I think they have a pretty killer collection of arms down there, and just had a brutal year as far as injuries go.
I just think
it goes, and sometimes that's how it goes when you take a lot of prep pitchers.
I just think
maybe it won't work out, but
I just think above AA they don't. I just don't.
That's totally fair.
Yeah,
totally agree.
Yeah, AA and AAA. Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah,
I mean, like a lot of it was injuries, right? Like there were guys that you wanted to see, like Jake Miller could have played a role in the big league team. But there was also just a lot of regression, and some of that is that's always going to happen with pitchers, right? It's nobody is just always healthy and getting better.
Yeah.
But it was kind of a fair amount of the higher, more highly touted guys. Like we talked about Rainer Castillo. I think we were higher on him than the rest of the industry.
Yeah.
But that was because he was sitting 96 and throwing a ton of strikes, and that was gone this year. And his slider backed up. Jaden Ham's velocity was way down. We were hoping it would go up. It was way down. Then he got hurt, and it wasn't. He's changing his delivery. There's just a lot of little missteps along the way. But we've pointed out the guys who did take the steps forward. Andrew Sears took a huge step forward. Salcedo did. We really liked what we saw from Lucas Elisalt. I mean, he's got room to grow. And some of the we saw a couple of the young guys they drafted this year, like Wiska, I think is got something really interesting there to work with. So that it's always like a mix of things, but to me it's more like is the process is what they're doing working? Because of those injuries, like are they the cause of these? Is this just super bad luck? And I don't know how this is a really complex issue. When pitching is just bad for you, and sometimes guys just get hurt no matter what. But it feels like, Tigers are taking all these precautions with guys, innings limits and pitch limits and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem to change anything. And so it's like, how do you evaluate if it's working or not?
Yeah.
And that's something they need to figure out.
And it's only gonna be able to be evaluated as it plays out over time, unfortunately. Like you never know. 2 years from now, we might be looking at Owen Hall and Zach Swanson and some of these guys tearing it up, but that's still a ways away. And Yeah, I mean, I do think you have to look at the fact that so many guys got injured because it's not like it's happening everywhere. There are certainly teams out there who are moving guys quickly, sharpening their stuff up, and the Tigers made so many strides for a couple of years that I don't know. Maybe I did get carried away and think they had really figured it out and would also like sustain that and keep getting better. But it's so hard right now. Like you can't like develop a program and just stick with it. You've got to keep like advancing it. And I do think that's a great point about trying to baby all these arms has been absolutely pointless. It's done nothing for them. I mean, they tried to be careful with Job. Job blew out his elbow immediately. It doesn't work. I just think there's enough evidence to say that it doesn't work, and they're going to keep doing it. It doesn't mean that you have to like ride your guys into the ground the way they used to and like see, okay, if you can't throw 150 innings when you're 20, like you're garbage and we don't need you. But there has to be, they've got to push them harder somehow to see who can kind of hold up to it.
And I don't mind their process, really, honestly. Like, I think it makes some sense. It's just I don't think it's preventing injuries.
Yeah.
But it's like, all right, if you're going to help ramp these guys up or keep them from overextending the workload, and they have better diagnostic tools than we have in public, obviously. Like they could look at these guys and wearable technology or whatever and see how stressed they are and all that stuff. So they've got more going into this than we do, but it's like it just feels like something that needs a reevaluation at this point because of all those injuries. And then part of it, they've drafted a few guys who they knew are injured,
right?
Which a lot of teams do, right? Like the teams just do that. Like, all right, we'd like this guy, and we'll see what happens. But so many of these guys they showed up and they got hurt, and it's tough.
And that's like the lower, that's like the brand new, rookie ball level guys. You can also kind of point to the fact that like nobody came out of AAA this year and really got better. Yeah. And do you blame like the pitching development coordinators? Do you blame Doug Bachler? Do you blame Scott Harris and AJ Hinch and Chris? I mean, I don't know. You can pass it around, but after years, like 4 years in a row where they developed at least one good reliever pretty much every year.
Yeah.
And sometimes two, and they were finding starters and they were getting a lot out of like, mediocre, like, depth starter type guys and with sequencing and whatever other magic, framing probably to some degree and outfield defense, they were, piecing together this pitching staff out of nothing a lot of the time. And now it feels like they're starting to like hone in on the better arms, but they weren't able to like tune anybody up. And yeah, the thing that just really scared me, like the whole second half, or like made me very uncomfortable, was the fact that they were just like calling guys up and sending them back down and calling them. There was no plan.
There was
like none of that stuff they talked about where they were going to like identify talent, develop it, commit to it. They didn't do any of that. They were just flailing around with a bunch of old guys, not old like me, but like pretty old.
It felt like the organizational equivalent of that Scooble inning. Where just things just spiraled out of control and you had no control. Like, oh God, we got to bring somebody else up.
Yeah.
Can we bring him up? No, we can't.
Yeah, without giving a fair assessment.
Right.
Yeah.
We picked up Carlos Hernandez, and then we're gonna let Dietrich Enns go, and now we have Luke Jackson, and PJ Fallon's gonna go, and then but Carlos Hernandez and Luke suck, and they're gone. I mean, it was just like absolute chaos, is what it felt like. Like they didn't know what they were doing.
Yep. So
you hear that, Scott Harris? We got issues, brother.
Yeah, it's pitching chaos. It's the wrong kind of.
Yeah, you're right. It was pitching chaos 2.0, and it sucked.
Yeah. You know what it was? It's like it's the Y2K bug. Like everybody's like excited for the the year 2000, and then they realize, oh no, there's gonna be a bug in the Y2K thing. It's I don't know. Look, I'm just being a little pessimistic about it because just again seeing some of the things in Erie this year that were just like.
Yeah,
it gave me pause because even Garrett Burhan in that start, I think it was game 2, his velocity was down. Yeah, he was going down to 89, 90, right, Chris? Yeah, it was like something like that.
Yeah, I don't think he got. You were charting. You got him up to. Did he top out at 93?
Topped at 93.
It was mostly 89, 90, 91. Yeah. And he's never been a guy who's like a flamethrower, but he was 94 in most starts.
Yeah.
At least last year he was. So I don't know. I mean, sometimes pitchers just lose their velocity the more they throw, and there's nothing you can do about it. But it feels like they should be doing stuff about this.
That's alarming to me,
It's, I mean, that's kind of what we were like. Robin Lund is known for, right? Is like, this is a guy who's really getting those ground forces and having you throw harder and I don't know. Maybe it's not like I still have a lot of trust in Federer and London, those guys at the top.
Yeah.
But it's like something. There's like a miscommunication down the line somehow, like where it's, or I don't know. I really, without having full
Yeah, we
access
don't
to everything
know.
they're doing, I don't know. But
Yeah.
it's, and again, it's not like they're a debacle, right? I just think that the sort of pitching development we were hoping for, where they would consistently be churning out these arms, there's a gap right now, and maybe that'll kick up again next year.
Yeah.
Like we said, we saw a bunch of dudes last year come up and help, so maybe it was just like one wave, and there'll be another one next year.
Well, and it's harder now too, because you see like guys go to tread or pitching WRX or Driveline or wherever in the off season, and like all this stuff pops, and then they've been paying close attention to what those guys are teaching, and then when they come into your system and have like a bad year, you don't know like who is wrong. I mean, did they work too hard in the off season trying to impress when it didn't really matter? Did those guys have it right and Tigers had it wrong? Only time is really going to be able to tell.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. We're talking a lot about the system, and probably people want to talk about Guardians Tigers. But look, I don't know what to say about Guardians Tigers. Like, you've all seen the damn thing.
Yeah.
Seen the show like 8 times, in the last couple of weeks.
Maybe people want our official predictions, Brandon. So okay, you know what? I'll do this. I will say Tigers in 3.
I'm gonna say Tigers in 2. Actually, I just, not because I'm like uber confident, but I think. One thing I keep hearing is like, okay, the Tigers aren't clutch or, all this kind of stuff. The Tigers are still pretty young. Like the Tigers that matter have never done this before. They kind of skated in last year, like at the very last moment. They didn't have time to be scared. And nobody's born knowing how to do this. No one's born knowing how to settle themselves down and perform at their peak when the pressure is on. They've had a little bit more experience with it lately. I kind of feel like Tarek Skubal's going to go in there tomorrow and absolutely shove it down their throats. And if he does that, then game 2 opens up for them, and they can pitch it exactly how they want to. Yeah, so I'll go with that. I'm still scared. I won't lie. I don't know what Riley Green is going to be able to do. I worry about the lineup, but I think it's just going to be 2 low scoring games, and the Guardians can't keep being this goddamn lucky.
You can't keep getting away with this.
Yep.
Yeah, I hate to be pessimistic, but I got Cleveland. I got Cleveland winning in 3. I think. As good as Skubal is and has been against Cleveland all year, he pitched starting against them 4 times and was really good. They never really did much against him. Mm-hmm. The Tigers got absolutely owned by Gavin Williams a couple times. And what's frustrating about that is Gavin Williams throws a lot of balls.
Yeah,
he and they can walk and they can kind of wait it out at times. But then it's like as soon as they get men on base, it's just nothing but strikeouts. And all it really takes is 1 or 2 big hits, right? It's the playoffs. You get a 3-run homer, and you have huge leverage in that game, and you can kind of put your foot on their neck. But I don't know. It's just hard to predict. And Cleveland also has they just have so many lefty relievers now. I think they have like 5. If you count,
they're going to put Cantillo in the bullpen. So yeah.
And so it'll just be really, really fascinating to see what happens with like Kerry Carpenter in this series, because they've got 3. They're right now it's 3 right-handed starters, right? It's Williams, it's Bybee, and it's Ciccone.
Yeah,
and it'll be fascinating to see like how Vogt and Hinch handle this, because all season Kerry Carpenter's kind of come out in these big situations with men on. And a lefty in there, and Jahmai Jones has been awesome in these situations, right? But it's like you have to get that right. You have to pick right time, and it has to work. Right. Otherwise, you've got Jahmai Jones in unfavorable matchups for the rest of the game, or you got the bases loaded with 2 outs in the 8th inning, and you don't get Kerry Carpenter anymore. It's tough.
I think one key there though is that is having Wenzel. Like, because I don't think Wenzel's going to start. I think the fact that he's the switch hitter is going to be sort of like the flex guy that allows them to pinch hit in Jahmai Jones, in whatever best situation they can find for him. And that might be a big factor. People can look back to last year. The Tigers didn't really get outplayed. Tarek Skubal gave up a grand slam to a decent outfielder who just has that Ryan Rayburn, tendency to mash some lefties. So it's probably going to be a series similar to that, where some heretofore unthought of, bench piece ends up being like
Yeah,
the deciding factor, and it probably will play out something like that.
well, yeah, I mean, you don't think the Astros last year were thinking they were going to get beat by Andy Ibanez and Parker Meadows, right?
Right.
It's you never know. It's whoever can come up in the big spot. I do think Alan mentions that the starting pitchers after Scoop will scare him. Casey Mize was actually pretty damn good in September.
Yeah, I think Casey Mize has kind of found his best work of the year right here. Yeah.
I'm not worried about Myers or Flaherty, actually, to be honest. What I'm concerned with is just a guy. If Parker Meadows look, I'm looking for Parker Meadows to break out of the funk by just going 4 for 7, just coming out of nowhere and doing what he's supposed to do.
Yeah.
And Cleveland's offense just sucks.
It would be nice
suck.
to see him.
Yeah.
They do. No one there can hit except for Ramirez and Manzardo against right-handers. You know,
And
I thought all
Kwan.
the love for. I mean, even Steven Kwan doesn't do anything. Like he put up 100 WRC plus this year.
But Brandon, it's just he puts it or no. That's the thing.
His defensive ability and like all the little things that he does make him a better player than an average hitter. But he is just still an average hitter. That's all he is. It's
give him his due.
And he might, I might be screaming his name, like Captain Kirk with Khan. But yeah, I mean, you can't be that. You can't build these guys so much up in your head that way. I mean, he's just he's just a scrappy guy who does lots of different things really well. It's nice to have a player like that, but
I know I'm building him up, but Brandon, he always finds a way just to be a pain in the ass in the series last year.
To us, for sure. But you talk to other fan bases, they barely even know who he is. So that's an exaggeration a little bit, but I mean, I think the thing about game 2 and 3 is that you should have, Brent Herter and you should have Troy Melton. So I'm perfectly comfortable with Casey Mize. I'm perfectly comfortable with Jack Flaherty going through an order once, and you've got like red alert if you need to. So I mean that's plenty. I mean, I feel pretty good about that getting you, to the 7th or 8th inning, without giving up more than like 2 or 3 runs. So they're just gonna have to score more runs than they have been lately, and put together a lot. Like we need that gritty energy. And I don't know if someone wants to shorten up and put the ball in play a little bit. I don't know. You could try that. I don't know.
That's what I feel like.
Old
like
school,
it's a
I know, but
it's a real bummer that Keith is hurt.
It is
because I mean, he's not perfect, right? And he would strike out at times, but he was a guy who did a pretty good job of putting the ball in play when you needed him to. Yeah. And he's another like in that dance I was talking about with Carpenter and Jones, like he'd be another potential weapon there for you. Like if you start, you could start Keith or you could start McKinstry and bring one of them in later, and you just don't have him now. So I don't know. The lefty pinch hitter now is going to be Trey Sweeney, Jace Young, McKinstry. I know you mentioned Perez, but like I'm trying to think. There's gonna be multiple hitters. What do you got there? You got Fireball. What is that?
So right here is the brandy that my dad had under his the Cuban voodoo doll in the garage. You've seen, Chris.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So this is
Jobu rum.
Is that the rally rum?
This is the rally brandy. This is the brandy that my dad would give. Like he would put this in front of the Jobu or the Cuban voodoo. I'm not just trying to be bastardizing it or anything. So you give money and then you say your little thing and then you take a shot of brandy. So
sounds like a good idea. Cheers.
Cheers. Tigers. 2 Tigers victory.
Let's go. Take these guys.
Yeah, I mean, and then here's to watching baseball at 1 p.m. like it's spring training all over again.
Yeah, I mean that is infuriating. Here's a question I want to ask. I mean, you guys are going to start Javi Baez at shortstop, right, for the defense?
Yeah.
And that's kind of a tricky one because you'd kind of like to have McKinstry in against the right-handed hitter or pitching, and then be able to pull him out if they put a lefty in and pinch hit Javi. You're not going to be able to do that. So, there are some ways in which the Tigers are going to be limited in that regard as well. Because I assume you're going to have McKinstry starting at third base. It's going to be the regular lineup with Perez on the bench and Jones on the bench and Ibanez on the bench, probably. I assume they're not bringing Trey Sweeney with them. I don't see what purpose there would be served, but so
I think I don't know. We'll see. I think they may just
maybe. I think I would rather have Malloy at this point, to be honest, but maybe you're right.
you never want so say you start McKinstry or whatever, and Baez is out there playing short and he gets hurt.
Right.
You move McKinstry
Right.
they
It's a
don't
problem.
ever want to be without a body. And you mentioned Baez, and it's funny thinking about last year there was that catch, the Sweeney catch, right, against Baltimore that everybody remembers, the crazy one where he crashed into Riley Green, and that kind of saved the season. Javi Baez's catch on Saturday in Boston
Incredible.
could have saved the Tigers' season.
Yeah.
What do you think about it? Because there was what runners on first and third. I don't know. There was a run was going to score on that, wasn't it?
Yeah. I
And
believe so. Yep.
And
Yeah, first
he
and
doesn't
third.
make that play. Maybe they lose. Maybe Scooble has to start on Sunday, and then whatever.
Right.
But,
Everything goes down the.
It doesn't feel quite as spectacular because you're saving saving yourself from a cave in rather than making this miraculous sprint to the finish. But
ultimately, it comes down to this. It really comes down to the unexpectedness of guys like Meadows and if Baez keeps doing what he's doing, I think the Tigers can win this series. I really believe that they can. I think they have more than enough horses to do it. Now, if they can beat that, and now against the Mariners, it's a different story. I'm not even going to that. We want to get to that point. Chris, real quick, what is your World Series on the spot prediction?
give me Mariners Phillies.
Ooh, that's
I
what I
like
said.
that. Yeah, I said Phillies and Blue Jays as a rematch of the '93 World Series. Because baseball
there you
seems
go.
to be that weird thing where they somehow does that.
Wait a minute. Is Trey Turner out for the whole postseason? No, he's not. He was reinstated today. Okay, that's what I needed to know.
Yeah, no, it's I don't know if we mentioned that the board game, that baseball board game that Perry played with Perry the other day.
Brandon, you got to play this, man. It's awesome.
It was fun. Yeah. So we set it up. I was the 2011 Phillies. I think I mentioned that, and he was the '62 Giants.
Wow.
So he had Willie Mays, he had Willie McCovey, he had Orlando Cepeda, and I just absolutely dominated him in 2 games. Roy Halladay and Cliff Lee just ate them up. I think Willie Mays went 0 for 8 with 5 strikeouts and 2 double plays. It was brutal.
Oh, Willie'd never seen that. That 96 with the curveball.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I think Shane Victorino hit 2 homers for me. I got homer from Hunter Pence. It's fun. It's all these dice. You have every die known to man, like a 4-sided die, a 6-sided, an 8-sided, a 10-sided, a 12-sided, and 20-sided.
Yeah.
And you just it was good.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, it's only $5 to play too. I mean, the PDFs.
Yeah, you can get the PDF, the rules, and then you just need to have dice. It's in the rule set it's pretty fun. Like I will say, there was one play where if you roll a 1 or a 99, so I don't want to get too nerdy, but a 1 and a 99 becomes something is crazy that happens, and then you roll another die to find out what the crazy thing is. And one of them was the pitcher was distracted. It's what? And if they're runners on base, they can move up or something like that. Just really odd, unusual events. But
yeah.
One final question here, and then we'll end it for the night. From Michael Brooks, why do you think Winseal will be on the bench? He's been starting right field regularly with Carpenter at the DH.
He may well be. You may well be right. I'm just thinking to myself, let's say you pinch hit Jahmai Jones in the 6th or 7th inning, right? They bring him in to face whoever, and then now you have Jahmai Jones in the outfield, and you don't want that. So and they're going to have 2 right-handers probably going at the end of the game. You expect it to be Gaddis and Smith, and you don't want Jahmai Jones hitting them. You don't want him up against them. So I'm just wondering if Wenzel Perez will be the kind of the linchpin for where they can pivot around the pinch hitting. Well, I don't know. You might be right though. We'll see. I mean, they haven't been playing Carpenter and Wright, but I mean, are you going to start? I mean, are you going to put Carpenter on the bench and just wait for them to counter when you go to pinch hit for him? I don't know.
I can't imagine them.
For me, I got to have Carpenter in 3 at bats at least because nobody else is going good.
So I mean, the way I figure it here in that scenario, if you're going to win this, it's going to be a tight, low-scoring game. Theoretically, that's what you're playing for, right? You're going to want Parker Meadows in center. But there may be a scenario later in the game where you have Parker Meadows up against a tough lefty, and you want Wenzel Perez because he can bat right-handed and
take over
play center. And if you're starting Javi Baez at shortstop, I don't know that again. That's do you move Javi to center and then McKinstry to short, and then who's playing third? There are ways to do it, but I feel like Wenzel does give you a lot more options because he's a switch hitter, because he can run a little bit, because he can hit a little bit, and because he can play all three outfield spots. I think that does make him a really valuable bench bat, more so than Carpenter. Not more valuable. You let Carpenter, you want him in there getting as many at bats against the starter as possible, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to see Wenzel batting left-handed against Gavin Williams very much. Wenzel doesn't strike out that much. He puts the ball in play. He's got speed, but he's in a funk right now, especially hitting left-handed. It just feels like a pretty bad matchup to him for me.
Yeah, so it should be a good series. So if you get a chance to have your earbuds out tomorrow, they'll be starting at 1:08. Hopefully, I'll have some earbuds going about that time. We'll see. I'll be meeting my new staff members tomorrow, so I'll be busy creating some stuff. But thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for listening at home if you're listening to the podcast. And don't forget to check out all the great podcasts over on the Believe Network, as we got you covered for Tigers baseball. There's going to be a Motor City Metrics podcast after the show some point tomorrow. We'll see how that goes with Uper and Mike and whoever. We'll see how that, like I said, we'll play that by ear. It is the last day of September, so fun times in Cleveland again. Yes, Tyler, absolutely. And I would, we got to keep things classy. I understand that, but for the sake of, it wouldn't be a playoff if we did not play this, right? I mean, would it be? You guys have, you know what? Screw it. We have to do it. I have it all queued up, but yeah, it's really they've ran with the song. I don't like the fact that they've gotten away with playing. There's not a Detroit one. I mean, Detroit's got its own thing. I mean, Detroit's rock. It's got all sorts of rock and roll and everything. So we haven't beaten everything else. So maybe let them have this. They can have this song, and they can have this moment.
Fun times in Cleveland again. Still Cleveland. Come on down to Cleveland town, everyone. Under construction since
1868.
See our river that catches on
fire.
fire. It's so polluted that all our fish
have AIDS.
We see the sun almost 3 times a year. This guy has at least 2 DUIs. The flats look like a Scooby-Doo ghost town. Don't slow down in East Cleveland or you'll die. Our economy's based on LeBron James. Buy a house for the price of a VCR. Our main export is crippling depression. We're so retarded that we think this is art. It could be worse, though. At least we're not.
Well, I'm not playing that part.
Yeah, I know what they were thinking.
Yeah.
Where that was going.
Yeah. So, anyways, good luck, Cleveland.
Yeah. Best wishes, Cleveland.
Yeah, go. Yeah. Well, so I'll see you guys next week. Stay classy, everybody. Have a good night.